on my list, I kind of wrote it down this morning and broke it down into physical, emotional, and spiritual.
Okay.
Because everything, like we talked about in the Wu Shen podcast I did last year, everything exists on these three dimensions: physical, emotional, and spiritual. So when I'm working with spring energy, I always think, okay, well, what does this physical body need? Like, what does the physical Jing layer need and require in spring? And so the first thing I have down here is movement. So when the wood element is out of balance, what happens is stagnation. So remember that the liver is all about moving up. It wants to move. And so when it can't move, we get stagnant. And that creates just a lot of, well, I get migraines. I was talking to E. Mason yesterday about my experience last spring of having a lot of migraines. So for me, movement is really important. So not the best time to be still or to just sit, or even like yin yoga, I would say less of that. Start moving your body. Do things like shaking qigong, or the tendon changing classics of the qigong exercises where you're almost contracting and releasing the muscle, right? So that's going to help with the health of the tendons. So that's pretty much the number one thing. Sometimes for me, when I feel like, oh, I really need to move this energy, I'll go for a run. Like, go for a run. Do something that's going to kind of really move the chi. So that's kind of the first thing that I have.
And I might tack onto the movement part of things because
Please.
I think this year I think for me this year my liver is flowing much more. I feel like I'm naturally there. I know last year for me it wasn't naturally there. I had to do what I could to. No, I know this is good for me to move at this time of year. But for me, what's really coming about is when we look at the yin and yang of the liver, we look especially like at erectness and the ability to be supple. So that bamboo. So although I experience yin and yang in such the extreme, it's where yin and yang live is in the kidneys. The yin and yang expression of the liver is where you get to really play with it, and find a harmony, balance. You know, I use the word balance now just because in homage to my dad, that's what he called it, the balance. And
Mm-hmm.
because if we look at the vessels, the mai, one of the extraordinary fu, you can look at the yang of the liver is what allows it to be erect, so the blood can flow smoothly. And it's not all flabby and like
Mm-hmm.
top white bread, like blood vessels. But then it can become too erect, and the yin of the liver is what brings the curvature. And if it's just all curvature, it's too floppy and doesn't actually spiral in formation with the universe or with the Tao. That perfect combination of like as much yang and as much yin as you can have. So as much erectness and as much suppleness. So that's where I'd recommend. I love your practice. I just recommend everyone just jump onto Steph's Instagram and just save everything, because the forms that you do are really, really amazing. And I don't know, have you gone and done the big, I can't remember what they're called, but have you gone and created collections yet on your Instagram? So here's all the spring practices and the spring posts. I'll show it to you.
No, I didn't even know you could do that.
If you
I
go to
have to.
Superfeast Instagram,
Yeah.
you'll see what I think it's maybe the journals or something like that. But you'll see it there when on the bottom thing where it's like, here's the feed, there's the reels, there's the videos, and then you go to the fourth one for us, and it's all the journals, and you'll see there's like three treasures and
Okay,
like
I'll have
mental
to do
stuff.
that.
So, yeah. So
Because I actually recently posted, I think it was yesterday or something. It was like a yin and qigong, like very short sequence for liver qi stagnation. So, and this is also going to depend on constitution. So if you're like wood deficient kind of person, and a wood deficient kind of person, you see a wood excess kind of person and they really shout, like you can hear it in their voice. It's like very shout, like they're more aggressive kind of, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but this kind of like you can really feel the wood in them. They're kind of, even for me, I'm kind of talking like that right now. I have a lot of wood in me, but a deficient wood person will kind of talk like this. They'll almost like they can't even move at all forward. And so if you're more lit wood deficient, so then maybe doing something like a yin yoga practice that's going to stimulate the inner thigh, which is where the liver channel runs, and then the gallbladder channel, which is the outside of the leg. And then in that video, I also did ascending the yin, descending the yang. So just moving the chi through the legs, the yin and yang channels through the legs. So it doesn't have to be long and it doesn't have to be complicated. The important thing is to do it often. I had a teacher once say, once is never. You can't do something once. It doesn't work. So to pick something and just have some level of consistency with the movement and just feeling it. Am I more a deficient person? Am I more of an excess person? Do I need more movement or do I need more stillness? And that, like exactly what you said, what is that balance between yin and yang? But the main thing is flow. If you're feeling stagnant, it's like, that's the worst. Liver doesn't like to be stagnant.
No,